I can tell you, as long as you continue to find these conversations valuable, we will keep having these conversations. So if you're looking for information, if you're looking for inspiration or hope, you have landed in the right place. Now, if you're new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. Yes, we consider you family. Be sure to check out some of my past conversations on my YouTube channel. Just look up Conversations with Cubit on YouTube. And once you find that page, please subscribe and please hit the like button. After that, check out any of our past conversations. I do want you to check out my past conversation with Vicki Bahena, because she happens to be a candidate for Oklahoma County DA. And last week's show was just a replay of the conversation I had with her before she became a candidate. That conversation might help you learn a little more about at least one of the candidates. But right now, I need you to do me a favor and share tonight's conversation. That's right. Don't keep this conversation to yourself. You absolutely must share this conversation. So please hit the share button right now. Should I wait on you to do it? Just reach up there, hit it. Once again, I have to send a very special thank you and a very special shout out to my friends Richard and Amy James, who have been hosting our weekly conversations out here at Green Pasture Studios, where we are tonight. You see they're breaking stuff down behind me. The studio is out in Spencer, Oklahoma, and it is a full-fledged movie production studio. You've heard about all the movies being made in Oklahoma. That's happening right out here. They do so much out here, including a movie and production film academy. So please look up Green Pasture Studios and find out more information on their website. For those of you who may be new to these conversations, let me tell you about my 3 simple goals for these conversations. They're simple. 1, I just want to add value to people and add value to my community. 2, I want to inspire you to believe in what communities and people can become when we're willing to work together. And last but not least, I just want to love people, period. All that means is that I want you to be inspired. I want you to get useful information and resources, and I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation should be and will be about information, inspiration, and hope. My guest tonight is Candice Hillenbrand. First of all, let me tell you, Candice is my friend. I just need to tell you that. She is cool people. I just need to tell you that too. Candice is a native Oklahoman with 20 years experience working in many nonprofit leadership roles, including fundraising, grants administration, new program development, local and national advocacy, and volunteer training. In addition to her experience leading small and large nonprofits, she has devoted much of her time to volunteering in the community, which is where I met her, which is where we became friends. Serving on the Youth Leadership Exchange Board, the USAO Alumni Board, the Oklahoma Turning Point Council, Candice is also a small business owner. She is the founder and CEO of a startup nonprofit consulting firm called Vision 46, Projects for Progress, and is the owner of the Ollie Gathering Place, a historic event space located in the Paseo Arts District in Oklahoma City. Her current focus in our conversation tonight is about her role as the campaign director for We Are Rising, a movement to unite reasonable Oklahomans to stand up against dangerous laws that harm individuals' health, safety, and well-being. She has a ton of education in her background and a ton more things I could share from her resume, but the most important role of all on her resume is that of mom. She is the mother of 2 teenagers, Noelle and Madeline, and her good husband has allowed her to sit down with me tonight. Thanks, Dan. Folks, please help me welcome my friend Candice to Conversations with Cubit.
Well, that was a really great introduction.
You like that?
I do.
You feel really special?
Yeah.
Because you are special.
Oh,
you
thanks.
really are. Thank you for driving way out here. You found your way here.
You were so kind that you didn't mention.
You made it.
It was my fault.
No, it's my fault.
Because it turns
Poor
out
instructions. Poor
Spencer
instructions.
is not Guthrie.
Not Guthrie. Not Guthrie.
Not even close.
And Guthrie's not Edmund.
True
We
story.
got here. All
True
right.
story.
All right. Before we get, can you first remind me where did we first meet? We started hanging out. Was it youth?
It was Youth Leadership Exchange. I've been on the board off and on for about 6 years or so, and then a chance to change.
And a chance to change, of course.
You were on the board.
Chance to change. Yep. Okay. So board service. We know each other from service.
A lot of boards.
And all of that service I went through my list of questions, and I said little things I don't know about you.
Oh.
And before we get started with the meat and potatoes of our conversation,
Yeah.
I want to know some more things. So all you have to do is just pick one of these questions. I'm going to ask you a question. You just pick one of the answers. It's
What if
this
I
or
do-
that.
Okay.
This or that. It kind of tells us where we really connect. I know we voted a lot alike, but maybe we wouldn't be alike on these questions.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask, and it's just rapid fire. Ready?
Okay. Rapiding.
Here we go. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Bang! I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Okay, we're connecting. Spank the kids or punish the kids?
Punish them.
You didn't get a whooping? Not one?
Oh, I got some whoopings. But I always think you got to be a little bit crazy. Keep your kids guessing.
Okay. All right. Good concert or good movie?
Good move.
Good movie. hmm What genre of music is playing in your car right now?
Oh, gosh. A podcast.
A podcast?
Yeah.
So remember, as I was texting with you earlier today, I realized that I sent you one of my playlists on Spotify.
You did. And I did listen to that.
Okay.
'Cause you said
Okay,
that
but it's
I
not
should.
playing right now. It's not
No,
playing.
it's
Okay.
not currently. I
All
do
right.
listen to everything, though.
Okay. Talking about ice cream, cup or cone?
None. I'm lactose intolerant.
You don't do it.
No, I don't
okay.
do it.
All right.
Not my jam.
Take your own pick, I guess. Would you put it on a cup or would it be on a cone?
It'd be on a cone.
It'd be on a cone. Okay. All right.
Actually, that's a lie. It'd be in a cup.
It'd be in a cup?
Yeah. Gotta save a little calories.
Okay. All right. Dine in or take out?
Dine in.
Okay.
I love a good eating experience.
Good. Would you rather watch a good old movie or one of the new releases?
Old. I'm a creature of comfort.
Which one?
So probably like Pretty Woman. Big fan.
Okay.
I like to go back old school.
This is going to be, my last question is going to be so fun. All right. All right. Car or truck?
Car.
Policeman or fireman?
Policeman.
You're not just trying to humor me, are you? Are you trying to humor me? Is that
I know
real?
my audience.
Okay. Okay, good. Smart. Backpack or briefcase?
Backpack.
Ooh, good. Sleeping, TV has to be on or off?
I like to go with it on so I can get it's my 90-night routine.
Does it stay on all night or does it have the timer to where it clicks off?
Well, Dan eventually comes in. We have a rule that I have to go to bed first and he can come in later, but he cannot be there first because I can't handle that kind of snoring.
Oh, I get it. I get you have to be out. All right. If you had to pick right now, who's your man? Chris Rock or Will Smith?
I don't know.
Or who you rocking with right now? Chris Rock or Will Smith? Who's
I'm
the?
rocking with Dan Hillenbrand.
Well, okay. All right. Okay, I'll let you off the
Committed
hook.
to my honey.
I'll let you off the hook there. All right. Complete this sentence. Fill in the blank. Back in the day, when I put that thing on, when I put that outfit on, that's the blank.
Oh,
That
okay.
outfit, right? That's the
Whenever.
blank. Back in the day when I wore blank, I knew I was looking good and couldn't nobody tell me nothing. What was it?
Oh, it was a Nirvana t-shirt and flannel and oversized jeans that I could just disappear in.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been much of a lady of the
Okay.
attire.
I got it.
As
I
you
got
can
it.
tell.
I got a visual of this. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And you were.
That's when I felt pretty confident.
That's how you got
in
Dan.
my flannel.
You got
in my
Dan in the
Nirvana
flannel.
shirt. Yeah.
That's good.
It's been downhill since.
I'll ask Dan about that later. That's good. All right. Thanks for playing my silly game.
Yeah, I love
that's
it.
fun.
I like it.
So we're in political season
Mm-hmm.
right now. You're wearing a T-shirt that says "We Are Rising." You're starting this new thing, "We Are Rising." I'm hearing everywhere I go. I'm starting to hear it. I'm getting tagged in things. I'm getting emails. So I don't know exactly what it was. And so last night we were talking, and you were giving me the nuts and bolts, and I said, "Stop. Just come on, and tell everybody what We Are Rising is. Tell me what We Are Rising
And I
is."
said, I'm supposed to be back at house. But then, you're a pretty good persuader.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
said,
Right.
okay.
Let's go. Tell me
Okay,
what it is.
so We Are Rising is a movement of reasonable Oklahomans to stand up against dangerous laws that impact the health, safety, and well-being of individuals in our state. Pretty broad.
Describe reasonable, because so what I'm getting into arguments with people that think they're reasonable, and they think I'm extreme, and I think they're extreme. So give me a rundown of what a reasonable Oklahoman, how they think, act, where we find them. What's reasonable? Am I one?
I think you're a very
Okay.
reasonable
All right.
Oklahoman.
All right.
I mean, what would happen if I was like, no?
Yeah.
Like,
I would
this would be over.
I would be
Okay.
like, oh my God, I need help. I want to be reasonable.
So when I think of reasonable, I think of common sense and I think of empathy. Those are two things that come up to me, which are if you can put yourself in the shoes of another person and envision or feel what it might feel like to be in their shoes, you can usually come up with some pretty good bumpers for how to run your own life, and then maybe what's your lane and what's someone else's lane. And to me, reason is knowing where your knowledge and your experience stops and where other people may be. It's meeting people where they are. And I think that's really the definition of what we're doing, is meeting people where they are and knowing that what's best for us as an individual may not be what's best for another person, and that we're okay with that.
But Candice, as a leader, and I'm not pointing at myself, I'm just saying as a leader, we have to make decisions that impact a lot of people, but not all people, that benefit a lot of people, but not benefit all people. And so finding reasonableness in that lane can sometimes be hard to find for a leader. And so how did our rising form based on unreasonable leadership or unreasonable? Tell me how we got here.
Okay. I think it's happened over a long period of time. I feel like sometimes even social media can get us to that level of unreasonableness because we don't have the ability to step back, absorb information, absorb a news article or something that's come at us that could be a fact, it could be an opinion, and just absorb that and process it and think, how do I feel about this? Let me think about what's within my reason, my experience, and my knowledge. And sometimes we react, but then we find ourselves reacting and we're not even sure why we're reacting, but now we're in it to win it. And this is my personal opinion, and I've had this relationship with social media that as a mom, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It's been a vehicle for so much good, but I think it has escalated our reactionary nature to the level that we may make decisions based on a headline or even a picture and think, ooh, this is something that might agree with me, so I'm going to reply. And then someone else hops on and then they reply.
And you get caught, and you get caught in that. And
I call it the social media wrestling ring.
Yeah. What is when I'm thinking about reasonable legislation, reasonable leaders, unreasonable, the stuff that kind of gets under your skin. I can't believe they passed that. I can't believe they're not passing that. Whatever the case may be. What has been some of the legislation that's been building up to the formation of a group called We Are Rising that we want to call reasonableness back into leadership, reasonableness back into our legislation, reasonableness back into our communities? What legislation has kind of stair-stepped us to this moment?
Gosh, it's been years and years and years of little bills that have come into the House, and some of them have failed, and some of them have gone forward, and we've etched away at some of these basic human rights over a long period of time. The most recent is, of course, what was passed in the summer of this year, which is the most restrictive abortion ban in the country.
Right. So that's the one that calls people to action. I imagine that people were doing this work. Like I remember having some conversation here on the show about the CRT bills, the anti-CRT bills that were being. I remember having conversations about gun laws that were being passed. And now here we are having a conversation about those. I guess this is talking about those as well.
Yeah.
And now abortion. Are you finding that we are able to get, or you are able to get some people in support of We Are Rising, the campaign, if you will, that join for different reasons?
Absolutely. And I think what we're seeing now is the extreme legislation over medical privacy and medical rights. And I think we've now stepped into the realm of getting into a family and individuals' very, very private and personal decisions that honestly the state legislature and the governor and I and you know nothing about someone else's struggle or their reasons or why they're doing what they're doing. That's not for us to know or to judge.
Right. Is there a personal story that drives your work, or is there a personal connection to this work that keeps you up at night, that caused you to wear the t-shirt?
And I said, I just want to lay it out to you. When we think about this as being a women's problem, what we're not understanding is that this is a family problem. It's a community problem. It's an economic problem. It's a world problem. And I'm gonna put it to you this way. I'm 42. I have 2 children. I have retirement plans. I've got my retirement savings going. If for some reason my birth control failed, guess what would happen? I would not have a choice over the rest of my life, and you would not either. So we had to have that conversation, which this is not an isolated issue. This is a medical decision. It is a private decision that needs to be left up to the person responsible for either bearing life or not.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And it is not something, and it just, you say keywords and then walls go up. And there's so much defensiveness and what about this and what about that? But if we put that aside and really get to the heart of it, there are 8,422 ways that things can go wrong in a woman's pregnancy. And therefore, if we legislate the medical professionals and we legislate the women who are accessing care or needing it for all of those different ways, we have now entered into a realm of overreach to the extreme.
Unreasonableness. And to what end, I don't know. And I think as a woman sitting here, to know that if something happens in my body, I don't have a decision. I am being forced to give birth. I'm being forced no matter what the circumstances. I feel backed into a corner. We are backing people into a corner. We are backing our marginalized communities back into a corner. Because ultimately, they suffer the most.
They suffer the most.
Right.
Absolutely, they
Right.
suffer the most. They suffer the highest maternal mortality rates. They suffer from poverty. They suffer from adverse living conditions. They suffer from violence. We do not know someone else's story.
Right.
We do not know them, but we can love them and support them through that without dictating what happens in their own medical care.
What do you and the people behind We Are Rising, what do you hope to accomplish, especially in this election? We got a few weeks before we go to the polls for the midterms and some really key races here in Oklahoma. What do you hope to accomplish?
We want people to turn out and vote. I've been quoted on a stat from a good friend of mine who served in the House of Representatives that there are 1 million people in Oklahoma who are eligible to vote and are not even registered. When we become apathetic and we don't exercise our right to vote, whether it's that we don't feel like our vote matters or our voice counts, or that's going to be such a landslide that we don't show up, we've sacrificed our democracy. And it is extremely important between now and November 8th that We Are Rising and every organization out there be actively asking their friends and families, coworkers to show up and vote for candidates who are going to work so hard to, I can't even believe I'm saying this, restore our rights. We are actually having less right to our own lives than we did in 1910.
Yeah.
We've gone back in time that far. And so our goal is to actively engage people in democracy and what it's about and what happens whenever we don't show up, when we don't have those difficult conversations. So our goal is to get as many people as we can to vote.
So, Candice, here's the tough question. I have people on in the past year or so, last couple of years, that were as passionate about extreme legislation as you are today. There was the anti-protest that people sat in this chair and said, this is racism, putting it in our legislation. It's the anti-CRT bill. This is racism that we're putting in our legislation. And people are screaming and they're trying to get support and they're trying to do all of this kind of stuff. And now we have this abort. So tell me how, I think black people are saying, oh, so if you don't join us when it's not about you, and now you want us to join you when it's about you. But this issue impacts people of color and black people in particular as well. Can you talk about how this impacts people of color?
So as a white woman, I can look at it statistically. I can look at it in terms of what I know to be true as far as research goes. I can look at it from a friend's perspective. I can look at it as a volunteer in many organizations. I can look at it from that outside lens, but I cannot look at it from within that home and that person's being. I can honestly say that we have to start somewhere. And I feel like even though this has been a season of unrest, there is a quote that says, the cockpit shakes and is loudest right before you break that barrier. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're entering into is this season of change, and we can actively work together to do that. I cannot help who I am, but I can meet anybody where they are, and I can advocate, and I can be me, and that's all I can do. These abortion bans are traps. They are traps. They back people into a corner. When you deny a woman abortion care, you have forced her life down a path that maybe she had a very different idea of what that would be. People of color disproportionately suffer from physical illness, genetics, predispositions. They have a higher, we talked about this earlier, but a maternal mortality rate. They're 33% higher to suffer chronic conditions in pregnancy that come from bearing a child. So you predetermine someone's destiny whenever you force them to not obtain an education or make it harder. You force them into debt because now they have more mouths to feed. You have a higher propensity of being on public assistance. You are putting every barrier into place that maybe that child and that girl wanted something very different for her life. And now you've taken that right away. We're not even talking about rape and incest. We're not talking about any of those circumstances that women and girls find themselves in, where they are forced to be in abusive relationships the rest of their life because they are now tethered to that abuser and that perpetrator.
Right. How's it going? What has been And I guess this campaign is run like any other kind of political campaign. You knock doors, you do literature, you talk to people, you make phone calls, you do all that stuff. What's been the response?
Here's what I would say. My mind has been blown by the freight train that are the women that are behind this movement. It was their idea. They were just having recreational time together and really came up with the idea that we need to collectively have an effort across our state to restore reason, to protect people from dangerous laws that are encroaching on their ability to be safe and well. So what I would probably say is, what's driving us? Is that the question?
What are people saying? What are they saying when you call them? I'm curious about what women would say. No, I'm not with that. I like this law and the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I think that's the really, really hard part, is because we don't know what to say. It is one of those issues that has become such a divisive. You say the word abortion and people are like, oh no, shut it down. I don't know what you're doing, but it looks like you're picking a fight. And that's not what this is about. So what we have heard time and time again is that this is not a partisan issue. This is not a Democrat or a Republican or an independent issue. This is a human issue. And what we're getting feedback on is that this has gone too far. We have now mandated and dictated medical care. We are now talking about bounty hunting when someone has been known to have aided or abetted a woman receiving reproductive health care. That is frightening. That gives me chills.
Right. This is all very encouraging to see people awakening to the extremism in these laws. I want people to keep, because if not this, there's something else to jump on and exploit and abuse, right? We have to get on where we get on, and every injustice, we have to jump on every one of them, right? Every one of them. And so we can't wait for it to get more extreme. Like, this is the action time. Like, they gave us a hint, like, we're going to do some extreme stuff. Like, you can run over protesters now.
Oh yeah.
So that was an extreme. Hello, everybody. That could be you. That could be you. But hey, they didn't react. Let's do some more. And then they give us another one. And now it's infringing on women. And not just women, it's families. Now it's communities, and you just described very eloquently how it impacts all of us, right? And so how do we get involved? How do people get involved? How do they help? Is it going to stop at November 8th when we vote? No. Or how do we get involved today, tomorrow, and how do we keep this movement going?
So the best way to do anything is to not be what I call a couch advocate.
Couch advocate, yes.
Couch advocates.
And a couch advocate is somebody,
They're warriors. Yeah. Social media is a very, very important part of advocacy. It is not to be discredited at all. But the best way to get involved in any issue is to go out and meet people who are either leading that cause, go talk to your representatives, know them, and be at the Capitol if you need to be at the Capitol, but don't say that's someone else's job and we're just going to wait and see what happens. Have conversations with your loved ones. And this is so hard because when we assume, we make a lot of assumptions about the people in our lives. We do that. I do that with my spouse all the time. I'm like, oh, Dan's not going to like that. He's going to react a certain way. Well, I've made an assumption about what he will or will not do, what he is or is not thinking, and what he will react to me like if I say certain things. So we don't have conversations sometimes that need to be had because they're uncomfortable.
Right. That's true.
And there is a 33% higher efficacy rate in voter turnout when peers talk to each other. So if you want to do one thing and you're like, I'm not going to call my state rep I'm not going to write those letters. They don't even read them. They just toss them out. Fine. What you can do is pick up your phone and call or text someone in your sphere of influence and say, I just want you to know there's something that's really important to me and I'm really concerned. And I want to know, are you concerned about this too? And give them an opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
See where it takes you. Meet people where
And don't
they
fight
are.
over text. Go have coffee.
That's true.
Go
see
talk.
them.
Pick up the phone. Yes.
Because that's how grassroots change happens, is because we have a conversation face to face about that. You know where I stand, I know where you stand, but I think I've been told in the past few weeks when I've been drinking from the political hose trying to figure all this out, that we need 3 points of permission from people we know, love, and trust to make a change. 3. We need to know from someone I respect, is it okay? I've always been in this bucket, but what if I want to go to this bucket? And how do you feel about that?
That's one.
That's one.
Then you need a coworker.
You need a coworker, and you can come from a variety of things. You could just see a social media post that you're like, ooh, I hadn't thought about the fact that, this happens to a person, and I didn't know that. So.
I thank you so much for sharing your time, and I really appreciate you for getting off the couch. Well, you've never been on the couch. You're always involved in something.
I feel like
You've always involved in something, and I'm glad you picked up this one to do. Tell us how to get involved. There's a social media places, there's website, there's action to be taken probably on weekends and nights and after work and stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay, so, this is my opportunity.
This is your opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see my shirt. These are available at Opolis Clothing in Greta Sloan in Nichols Hills. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at We Are Rising OK. Those are all the same on each platform. Go to wearerisingok.org. That's our website. You can just simply email me at info@wearerisingok.org. I hope I said .org. It's .org. It's not .com. Don't go there. I don't know what it's there. And then the best way to get involved is to do exactly what Waylon and I were talking about. Text or call your friends and family and ask them to vote on November 8th for candidates who will fight to restore the rights for women and girls in Oklahoma.
That's good. I'm going to ask you, you have any candidates you want to endorse live?
I do.
You do? Okay, let's go.
I don't love endorsement.
But who are you voting for, I guess?
So I will say one of the most critical races, we have lots of critical races.
Lots of critical
obviously.
races.
Yes, our Senate right now is 39-9, Republican versus Democrat. But this is a multi-partisan issue.
39-9, which means you can't stop any extreme if extreme is produced. They can't stop it.
It's very, very hard whenever there's not a lot of reason to work across that aisle. Yeah. Very true.
Okay.
So the DA's race is critical. Vicky Behenna has a long history of being a reputable attorney in the state of Oklahoma, and she has really proven that she is a reasonable Oklahoman who will fight to restore the rights of women and girls.
Okay, got that. Check. Vicky Behenna.
Joy Hoffmeister.
Got that. Check.
Yes. So we need to have active Oklahomans who are going to bring reason, humility, empathy, and pragmatic behaviors to our state, and they need to represent the will of the people.
Check. Got it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That's Conversations with Cubit. That's oh man, it's so much to learn, so much to digest. So go back, rewatch this, share this conversation with everybody you know, and be sure to vote November the 8th. Vote. That's Conversations with Cubit. We'll see you next week.